Hello everyone, I'm Alia Dibu. Welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with another book review. This is the book that I am going to be reviewing. Goosebumps, Creature Teacher. Goosebumps is written by R.L. Stine. R.L. Stine is a popular American author. He has written many popular books like Goosebumps, Fear Street, Ghosts of Fear Street, and Give Yourself Goosebumps, among many other popular books. He has written over 100 scary novels for kids. This book, Creature Teacher, is the third book of the Goosebumps series. It was published by Scholastic and Parachute. It costs rupees 250 and it is a part of the series 2000. Now let's move on to the review of this book. And I forgot to mention, this book was published in March 1998. It's older than me. First of all, I would like to say, this book was gifted to me for my birthday very recently by my friend Srinika. So the protagonist of our story is Paul Perez, and he is a class joker while his parents are overachievers. So they're not very happy with his attitude, so they send him to a boarding school. But a lot of interesting and scary things happen in that boarding school. So let's find out what exactly happens. Also, an interesting fact to note is that Paul is a type of person to joke when he's nervous, so that's probably how he became the class joker. Now, the boarding academy that he's sent to, that is Paul is sent to, is called the Caring Academy, or is it the Caring Academy? I don't exactly know. It's a weird name anyway. And when he first sees the boarding school, he describes it as looking like Dracula's castle. Wow. Imagine being called Caring Academy but looking like Dracula's castle. What? And when he goes into the school, he is greeted by the Dean of Students, Mr. Clay. And he is like really buff, apparently. And he just picks up Paul's bag like it's nothing. And while they're moving on to his dorm, they meet this weird, shady looking kid called Marv. And Paul gets a new roommate, and his name is Brad. These names and all, and the descriptions are really weird, but okay. And after the dean and his parents have left, he meets two girls, Celeste and Molly. And Mr. Klein had warned him that the students like to play little jokes around here on the new students. And when Celeste and Molly says that he should get out of here as soon as possible, he doesn't exactly believe them. And that is where Mrs. I don't think you can see, but Mrs. Mark comes in. So from the name, I guess you can imagine she's not a normal teacher. And also from the name of the book, Creature Teacher. They all are saying like Mr. Mark's a monster and blah blah blah, but Paul doesn't believe them because, like I said, Mr. Clean told him that they're gonna put pranks. But turns out that the first impression that Paul makes on the teacher is very bad. Like, the first thing she does to him is literally lick him. What? I don't think, what? And what's even better is that the students are not allowed to call their parents unless it's the holidays. And if you think you can like write the letters or something, it turns out the letter box or the wall letter box where you're supposed to put the letters, if you look into it, you'll see that it just leads into a trash bin. So there's no way you can alert your parents. And Mrs. Marr has this food chain in her classroom, and whoever is at the bottom of the food chain, she eats. This just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it? And what's even better is that Paul, because of the first impression he made, by the way, the first impression was really bad because he thought that everyone was joking, and Mrs. Mark is not a type of person to laugh at jokes. And so Paul tried to make it into a joke, and then Mrs. Mark was really mad, so that's not a great first impression. So she was already kind of rooting for him to be her lunch meat, and even nicknamed him lunch meat at some point. Or was it breakfast? Whatever, she nicknamed him something related to food. And so Paul is really nervous because he's like on the bad side of this monster teacher, and he has no way to contact his parents, and he can't run away because there are cameras, video cameras everywhere apparently. And Mrs. Mark holds this talent show. So if you're like good at the talent show, you will get raised up on the food chain, so you won't, get eaten. And to make sure that she doesn't get caught, Mrs. Mark only eats one child per year. What a nice lady. And the upsetting thing is that Paul doesn't exactly have a talent. Like, he doesn't really have the qualifications to go to the caring academy. His father, who is a lawyer, like I said, overachiever, pulled some strings to get him into the school. But he can't tell that to everyone, so he just decides to stick to telling jokes, which I said is his forte, and making balloon animals. But for the audition for the talent show, nothing goes to plan. His balloons all have holes in them, like somebody like pricked them with a pin, and it was like obviously sabotaged. And also, remember the shady kid Marv? So it turns out he's Mrs. Mark's son. Marv, yeah, wow, that sounds really similar. I can't understand why it took me that long to figure it out. Anyway, so everyone thinks that it was like Mrs. Mark's son who did it, but just you wait, it was not. And Mrs. Mark only allows one type of talent for each student. So Brad, Paul's earlier roommate I mentioned, and Molly, the girl he met, both like to play the violin. So they have to compete. That's why the audition is being held, so it's to see if they're good enough for the talent show. And Molly gets to do the talent show because Brad's violin had some skunk scent on it. It was also sabotaged like Paul's balloons. And when Paul tries to run away, Molly catches him and is like, you can't run away, there's an invisible fence that electric shocks you. So from all of this, you can imagine who is the villain and who is behind the sabotage, right? Ding, 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 it's Molly. And I can't believe I didn't see that coming. Like, Molly, if you read the book, you'll understand that Molly seemed like such a sweet and innocent girl, but no. She poked the holes into Paul's balloons that he turns into animals so that he won't go up on the foot chart, and she put the skunk scent onto Brad's violin so that he won't be able to play and she'll get to play in the talent show. And apparently there was no invisible fence because Molly calls him back. It's like, you can't go there because there's an invisible fence, right? Well, she was just calling him back because if he successfully ran away, then she'd be at the bottom of the foot chart. Anyways, she eventually is like, I'm so sorry, it was all me. She confesses, but she confesses at the wrong time. She confesses when Mrs. Mark practically kidnaps Paul and takes him to this underground area through a trap door and yeets him into the furnace, but she misses. So he like barely survives by like smacking her with a shovel. And like he runs to the trap door, and that's where he sees Molly, and Molly explains and all, but Mrs. Mark catches up, and then Molly had to leave because of course she did. And so, but then Marv, her son, comes up and tells Paul that she'll go to sleep if she laughs. she'll hibernate if she laughs. And then Paul tries to make her laugh by tickling her, and it works, and she's hibernating. And now Marv says that I would never sabotage you, you're my friend, and that's why I helped you. And then the book ends in the best way possible. The book ends by Marv saying, all this adrenaline has made me really hungry. And Paul was right next to him, and he's also a monster. So the last lines are this. You're kidding, right? Right? Who knows if he was kidding? That's not fair. I want to know if he died or not. I mean, I stuck with Paul through this entire book. I want to know if he made it out. But whatever. This is, honestly, I love Goosebumps. It's not exactly that scary, but when I am reading it, like right before I sleep, that's when it gets scary. Overall, I really like this book, and it's a really good read. If you guys like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting me. Bye!